welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, this may look like the pregame show crew, but it's not. We have the flagship podcast out here. To my left is my co-host, trash tweeter, Jack Alfonso.
What's up?
Jack, you're gonna get your own pregame show. We are very close to getting your own Weird Alf pregame show off the ground and running. That is exciting.
Can't wait. So close I can almost taste it. Ready for it.
Couple weeks, guys. We're getting all this stuff ready so we can have a really fun, kind of wacky pregame show that is very us. On the bottom of the screen, it's our 2K coach, Franky.
Yep. We beat the Knicks. Let's get it.
2-game winning streak on deck. Chat's excited for Lowry to the Heat because of the rumors today. Little Spoon Roy says bring back Babbitt. We have a wide range of things going on in chat, and if you want to participate in our chat, watch our podcast live. We stream them on Twitch every time. We tweet out the links on Miami Heat Beat at MIA Heat Beat on Twitter, and our Twitch account is on twitch.tv/MIA Heat Beat. So check us out. We have a lot of fun there. We actually have a couple things. I just had a call with Brian M. You may know him from Twitch chat and our moderator. He's also like kind of our executive stream producer / consultant. We have some cool stuff coming that's going to make the streams look a lot better. So we want like almost professional quality. Chat saying that there's YouTube videos on how to do my beard. I'm letting it grow. Why are we judging? I'm trying my best to grow it out here. Let's start with we're going to get into trade stuff probably on the back half of the show. Let's start with the basketball because the Heat are on a 2-game winning streak. And that's listen, maybe in yonder years that wouldn't be such a big deal, but they have not been very good this year. So a 2-game winning streak is very much welcome, Franky. And I think this is gonna sound kind of cliche to say because I think we kind of fancy ourselves a more analytical show. They're just fucking playing a little harder. They're playing a little better. They're playing more attentive, and I think we can get into some of the X's and O's stuff. But I think it just starts with they're just trying harder.
Yeah, and it starts with Jimmy and Bam. There definitely has been a change in their effort levels and aggression in the last 2 games. They're leading the way. Tyler's been a lot better off the bench, a lot more comfortable. Everybody shots are falling. All these little things. The defense looks more intense. Stuff like that that we've been asking for. That should not be. I mean, the shots falling is the only thing that you could really say, hey, you can't rely on that every game. But the defensive effort, the aggression, all that stuff is repeatable. It can be consistent. It's just on them. And these guys haven't shown it up until this point, and I'm glad it's finally here.
Well, I would argue the shots aren't even falling that much, right? Duncan was kind of slumping before, and he shot 4 for 10 the other day, which is I think you should be able to expect him to, shoot 40%. And Kelly went 2 for 9. I think if you are going to be encouraged by something, it is the fact that they aren't lights out from 3. They are shooting better than they have. But I think this is more of what we should be able to expect from them in terms of shooting. But it all starts with the intensity. Jimmy has clearly been eager to get some wins together. I think they all have, but you can see that he's really bodying dudes. The zone worked really well last game, particularly because I think everybody was playing with an intensity that we haven't seen all season, that they were trapping really well and that they were really getting after it. These are all dumb platitudes, but I think everybody saw it, right? That they were playing harder. And the real question is if they're going to play this hard on Tuesday against the same team that's going to adjust and kind of be looking to get a win right off of that loss.
I like the trap. I love that you mentioned the trapping because that's not something they've done a lot. And they do, we're used to the big 3 teams where they have those really aggressive traps when it's Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh and LeBron. So you have all this length. I thought Olynyk did a great job of really bodying up the trap. And again, it's just Elfrid Payton and it's Emmanuel Quickly, right? It's not these, pick apart passers. You know what I mean? It's not CP3 or anything. Or even a guy like Victor Oladipo, right? Just kind of these next tier kind of playmakers. But I thought it was pretty interesting that they threw that out there. They tried it. I thought they ran it well. There's only one time that it really got burned off a Taj Gibson kind of short roll to the cutting. What's that? Opie Toppin, right? They got a little Opie Toppin action on the roll on the baseline roll. So I thought it was really effective. I thought Olynyk. So I know we mentioned this on Hangover Time. But JNico20 on Twitter tweeted at the Heatbeat account some interesting Olynyk stats. So from the season start to January 13th, so when like everybody was healthy, they were shooting. Kelly Olynyk was shooting 40% from three on 7 attempts. From January 13th through January 26th, which is essentially that 2.5 week period that everyone was sick, he shot 13%, 16% from three on 5 attempts. And then since January 26th, since everybody got healthy again, he's about at 46% on 7 attempts. That tells me a couple things. That tells me that Olynyk's still good. That tells me that Olynyk needs the spacing of other guys and better playmakers to get him the ball. And if he's going to at least survive on defense, which these last couple games he has, and again, it's just the Wizards, it's just the Knicks. Let's not make any assumptions. But, last year I thought he was survivable on defense. And if he could be that way, Franky, that is a huge plus because they need something at power forward. They need anything.
Yeah, historically he's been a very good team, not very good, but a solid team defender. He's not going to hurt you there. He knows his rotations. He'll take his charges. He's usually pretty good there. And then it's well enough. He's good enough that offensively, what he brings you, it's a lot more. And so the net rating will be very positive. Because they do historically score well with Kelly and his spacing, with Bam, with Jimmy, back to when they had Justice, when it was Goran, when it was Josh, where Kelly's usually been pretty high in the net ratings in his Heat tenure. You have a floor spacing big who's a high level he's a high IQ
He's a high level passer. Come on, he makes the right reads.
He makes good but he's not like breaking down defense. He's a good passer. He can hurt you from the elbow. He sees the help. Yeah, he sees the help. He can hit you with the pocket pass. He can bounce pass. He's a smart player for the most part. Now, if we can get him to stop taking so many threes that are not rhythm threes, that are early shot clock threes, that he can kind of run some offense and set your feet and get a good shot, that'll be another thing. But yeah, defensively, he looked so much better. He was in control. In the hedging, great position, held long enough that I think it was very interesting that they ran it against the Knicks, because the Knicks aren't a great shooting team, and they dared them to beat them with the shot. And the first half they were doing it. They kept them in the game shooting like a season high. I think the Knicks averaged like 9 threes a game or something like that, they said on the broadcast, and they hit like 12 in the first half. So. It ran
Shout out to Cooper Moorhead for that stat.
Yeah, and it ran out in the second half. You bet on the talent. That's scouting report. That's coaching, and I like that. I like that we're trying to scout up our opponents.
Chat says stop analyzing stuff we already know. Talk rumors. Let's feed you. Kyle Lowry rumored to come to the Miami Heat. Listen, we listen to chat. Don't say we don't. Everyone chat's killing my beard. It's okay. We're gonna keep it for a little bit longer. I think the news of the day is, and by the way, we had a whole breakdown of the game on Hangover Time. Check out that on the pod feed or on YouTube or wherever you listen to the pods, because we did a lot of the game stuff there. The stuff we're gonna talk about is mostly Kyle Lowry, because he is the guy that is kind of projected, or at least rumored right now. He's available, right? And I think that people kind of follow the tea leaves. Everybody knows Masai Ujiri. Everybody knows how Masai functions, right? They know that he's not going to just sit on a 6 seed or a 7 seed or whatever they're going to be. So I want to bring the conversation there, because today the news broke on Bleacher Report. It was some anonymous source, so let's take this with a grain of salt. We know how this stuff goes in it. We don't know who's doing this. By the way, shout out to Curtis's Hero for the gifted sub, the gifted community sub. We appreciate it. I think Kyle changes Miami's calculus in a significant and season-altering way, because he's the only guard I would say this about, because I think he's an elite player on both ends of the floor, and I think he's also an elite shooter that you trust off the dribble and off the catch and shoot. And I think when you have those dimensions to your offense in conjunction with the best handoff big in the, or maybe the second best or second best handoff big in the league between Bam and Jokic. So let's be fair here. You have a lot of dimensions to your offense while not suffering on defense like when you have Dragic. So when you have Dragic on the floor, you have a weak link to attack. And I think the Heat want to get to a place where they can field 5 players that can't be picked on defensively. It's not unlike the Raptors or teams like that, because even the Lakers, had some weak links on defense or whatever. So, Jack, I look at Lowry, and I don't know what it would cost to give him up, and we're going to talk about what a package would look like later, but he certainly is perfect for this team.
Yeah, I agree that he's perfect for this team. I want to quickly on something you said. You said the Heat want to field 5 players where there's no weak link. They definitely have not shown that in their actions, right? Like
they haven't.
Their team building has not reflected that will.
But they don't have a choice, because you have Duncan and Tyler.
They had a choice.
You're gonna have
in the summer
guy you
to
pick.
retain some of their good defensive players, but we're not gonna harp on that because that's been the subject of every podcast.
Yeah.
Since the start of the season. I think Kyle Lowry is like a perfect fit. I think he's exactly who you want. One, he's like a legitimate, without like delving too far into cliches, he has like championship pedigree. He's been the second best player on a title team. I can say that, right?
He was absolutely the second
best player. Yeah, easily. Nobody's going to argue with me if anybody argues with me about that, you can go fuck yourself. But no, I think he's great. I think he gives you something on both ends. He's obviously a great shooter. He's just an intelligent player. He's good friends with Jimmy, which I think is important. I think there would be instant chemistry. And I don't think he, like most players of his quality and caliber, I don't think there's that much of an adjustment for Spo to make. Obviously, like, he allows you to do more just because he's like a much better player, but I don't think, like, Beal is better than Lowry right now, but if you got Beal, you would have to change everything you do, kind of, to...
I disagree with that. I don't think you would.
But like, when you add Beal, that's like a pretty big wave to make that I think does change some of your math a little bit. I do think Lowry is pretty easy to slot in, right? I think Lowry slots in, and I don't think you would see a really long period of like chemistry building. I think I can see very clearly how he and Bam would work together, how he and Butler would work together. My issue is I don't see any package that makes any sense, because it would require them giving up. I don't know. It comes down to the conversation we have about every trade, right? Is you're giving up at least one of Duncan and Hero, and which one is it? And do you want to do that? And you're giving up more too, right? Like, I don't know. Like, Nunn's value is not high right now. I know he's been playing well, but he does not have any value. Nobody's fooled by like a short period of
George Sedano is, but other than him, no one's fooled.
I'm encouraged by it, but like, it doesn't change his trade value.
So Kyle's at $30 million, expires at the end of this year. He's an expiring $30 million contract. Getting to that is going to be a little complicated because you're going to have to give up. I imagine Toronto would want cap space and young players, and Miami doesn't have a lot of draft equity. And I don't really know how much Masai wants draft equity. He's not. But even in the Carmelo trade, he got players, not draft equity, right? So let's also like understand who we're dealing with. Kind of from a basketball perspective, Jack, I totally agree with what you're saying about like how seamless the fit is and the chemistry stuff. Like, Miami already uses their guards as screeners a ton, and Kyle is an incredible screener as a guard with all that pistol action that they have guard screen is going to be great. He can be on either end of the pistol, which is really fun. I mean, they can do small handoffs. They don't do that a lot, but I'm sure that the kind of shootability and the physicality of Lowry will allow you some fun, and you can kind of force some switches, and I think especially when you have Jimmy on the floor, if you start switching those small ball screens, you could start really working matchups to get Jimmy something that he likes late in the shot clock.
The chat's talking about Precious for Lowry. Would you Precious in a Lowry trade? I think I would.
I would do it. and I think that Jimmy's clock is ticking, right? Like Jimmy has a timer on him that he's playing amazing this year, right? And he's playing very physical, and we don't know how much longer he's gonna keep that up. So I think it's a tough pill to swallow because I think we all really love Precious, but Kyle is an All NBA, All Star, championship proven veteran guard that fits everything that you do. And when you can really feasibly at some points field a backcourt of Lowry, Dragic, your offense is going to be amazing because Dragic, Lowry's played with another ball dominant like guard like that. So, Franky, it's almost a no brainer if they can do it, even though it's kind of a tough pill.
For Precious for Lowry,
yeah,
I say no brainer. I don't even hesitate, honestly.
I mean, it'd probably be Precious, and then you got to get the salary. So I hope that they can unload the Myers to $10 million, and then you have, probably Olynyk and Andre, and that gets you there.
Do they have to unload it? It's just exception, right? Do they have to do anything with that?
No, they have to. I mean, I'm saying that to get to Lowry's $30 million, you got to trade, right? So maybe they can keep Andre. I'm sure that they try to.
Yeah.
And they can try to get other salaries, even if it's getting a third team, so that they can keep probably their most important defensive wing right now.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, I really like Precious. His effort is outstanding. He's as a 19, 20-year-old big, he's already showing signs that he's valuable on both ends, and he's pretty good both ends right now. The issue with Precious is I don't think there's any legitimate potential for him and Bam to play together anytime soon, or like any willingness from Spo and the Heat to play them together. And Precious is very nice. I think he's gonna have a 10 to 15 year career in the league as a rotation guy, barring injury. But he's playing like 12 minutes a game. You're not playing him with Bam. Bam is playing 35, 38 minutes a game. So I'm not hesitating moving Precious to get our third best player on the team.
Yeah,
now,
he's not going to contribute this year, and I think G is totally right that Jimmy changes your clock entirely. If Bam was the only star on your team, you completely, I think, punt on this year probably. I think you would just say we're in too big of a hole. We get rid of our our assets and we kind of punt. But Jimmy, you got to make the most of every year. And I don't think Precious is going to contribute much this year in terms of a deep playoff run, as much as I like him. And again, he doesn't fit wonderfully with Bam, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon. I don't even think I wouldn't even foresee it happening that much next year. But also on that kind of short timeline issue, the issue is you get Lowry, your biggest issue is still not solved. And if you have to give up Iggy, then you create you maximize that one issue that you do have, right? The 4 position. If you don't have Iggy, then that 4 position looks dark. It looks bad. And you can talk about playing Jimmy at the 4, but it's shallow. And if you're going all in on a championship with Lowry, which is what you would be doing, they would have to figure something out. I think they would still be one move away, one small move, but one move away.
So and a couple things on this. So I think part of the Lowry thing that's valuable is that you can re-sign him long-term as a free agent. And I don't see him having, unless I'm reading this incorrectly on Spotrack, and if chat somebody can correct me, or Brian, you can help me out here. I don't think he has a cap hold next season, which is important because if, kind of like how Dragic this offseason, the Heat had some cap space, but Dragic's cap hold was bigger than their cap space. So in reality, unless you renounce his bird rights and his cap hold, then you don't have cap space, right? So I think with Lowry, not only do you get to re-sign the guy and also have cap space, you can make a move next offseason as well. Now, on the flip side, if you're Toronto, I don't really know how valuable Precious is to you. Boucher for them is a guy that I don't know how good he is. And I don't think they know how good he is. And I think that there's a lot in Boucher that they like. He's been their center, but he's not starting for them. They're still starting Aaron Baines or whoever else they have in the revolving door centers. Boucher is still plays a lot off the bench. Sometimes they start him, sometimes they don't. And I don't know if they're going to want Precious. I don't know if they
Boucher
want
is
to
like
add
30.
another big.
Boucher
Huh?
is like almost 30. I think you'd probably
That's fair.
figure out like some kind of 3-team deal, right? Like I think you're right that somebody does probably value Precious a lot more than Toronto would. But then I would just say like I think somebody values Precious and like enough to get involved in a 3-team deal where Precious is going to.
Oklahoma City?
Anytime you get this far into the weeds, I can't predict any sort of package. Like I can't, but like I do think yeah, like routing Precious to a 3rd team.
What do you got, Frankie?
And also, I mean, we talk about Kelly or Andre having to be included for matching purposes. If Toronto's trading Kyle, they're not really going to care about a guy like that. So you could probably.
No, but you want the expiring money.
No, I know that, but I'm saying those guys are valuable to a contender. So it's possible that you can reroute them, include a 3rd team, and get something of value for Toronto. But one of the biggest issues with the trade is Toronto's ahead of us in the standings. Why the hell is Kyle going to want to come here?
Well, I think that, I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure that a lot of people in the league, and it's been reported, they don't see Miami as like one of these top tier teams, but I don't think people think that they're fucking a lottery team either, right? Like they got whacked with COVID. They've had a lot of weird shit happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we also have to pick up the pace before we can really call ourselves a contender again.
Oh, for sure. But Lowry puts him there.
Lowry, I would say Lowry does, especially if we can find some suitable buyout big in the
power
market.
Forward, baby.
Yeah. But I mean, the Heat have the disabled player exception. They have the biannual exception still available to them. So they
have a $7.5 million trade exception.
And they have that. So they have tools at their disposal. I'm still going back to OKC. I think it just makes the most sense with their loosening up the restrictions of the pick, and they could still get I could see something like Ariza, and he hasn't played for them. He's been away from the team all year. I don't know what's going on with him. So
Andre 2.0.
Yeah. So and he's a better shooter, and he had he had this last year. He was playing terribly for the Kings. As soon as he gets to the Blazers, he has a resurgence. So he's the kind of veteran that you like. Yeah, Dedmon's still out. He's the kind of veteran player you like, that he's tough on defense. And
I don't know. Nobody wanted Dedmon so much to the point that I'm scared.
Well, do you think like they'll be available in the buyout market? Like, I think there's a chance. Like, I don't know how much.
Bjelica is probably going to get bought out.
Yeah.
He can't get traded.
Yeah,
guys like that.
Dedmon, I'm confused about, because he was good like 2 years ago. I don't know if it's an injury. He had a terrible year last year, but I don't know what's going on. That after one bad year, nobody wants him even for the minimum.
Nets are also going to be able to scoop up these guys too. I don't. Chat saying Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. He's a guy I really like, but the problem is that he's just not a shooter, and I think that they just can't afford to play another non-spacer, especially on a bench unit next to Andre. I think that you're really treading water. And I think when you're with the starters, it's one thing because Jimmy is so good and Bam is so good that they'll create. But when you're on that bench unit and it's Precious, Tyler, and Andre plus another non-floor spacer, you make it tough.
But for your 10th guy, for the guy who doesn't have to play every night, and he fills in your DJJ role, who can play small ball 4, I would much rather have him on the team than than Chris Silva.
For sure, no questions asked.
Like
no questions asked.
There's so many guys.
KZ Okpala.
Yeah, or KZ.
Is George Hill on the Pelicans or on the Thunder?
He's on the Thunder. Bledsoe's the one on the Pelicans.
That's another guy that would be intriguing. But if they get Lowry, I don't really see the need for George Hill. They have a lot of guards.
Yeah, no, of course. But I think the George Hill makes more sense. He's averaging 11 and 3. I don't think he's playing a lot. He's only playing 26 minutes a game right now. That's his role. He's a good two-way guy. He led the league in 3-point shooting last year. So perfect fit.
So chat's asking if Bjelica can fit in their trade exception. He can. It's $7 million this season. So they can absolutely get Bjelica with their trade exception. So that could be something. I don't know if the Kings would want that. I'm sure that they could get something.
Jimmy
for
played
him.
with him. If Jimmy signs off on it, I can see it.
I mean, if they make a move, like if they do a move, right, they're gonna need bodies. So that's a guy, and he's not shooting the ball very well this season. He's shooting 28%, but he's been almost a 40% shooter every year he's been in the league, except for this one. Part of that is the decrease in minutes. I'm sure that he can't get into rhythm.
Yeah, and he's only played 10 games, so.
Yeah, he's only played 10 games, so I take that with a grain of salt. He can fit in their trade exception, and I would like that.
His nickname is Professor Big Shots. We gotta have this guy.
Bjelica?
Yeah, I need this guy.
I mean, he's. I think a lot of contenders are gonna sniff around that. I think the Nets are gonna sniff around that, so they can get a guy to play 5.
I don't think they're gonna. I think there are gonna be more 5s on the buyout market, that the Nets will be interested in. I mean,
he picked up this guy from Indiana. Forgot his name.
Yeah.
Who?
The big man for Vonleh.
Noah Vonleh?
Yeah, they picked him up today.
Yeah,
that's a good pickup.
I like Noah Vonleh.
Yeah, chat's asking. Torres87 asks, "What's the price for Lowry? Gee, aren't you a Raptors fan? What's realistic?" I think honestly, any deal for Lowry probably is a Duncan swap. I think that he's the guy that I look at if you're unless they do a 3-team deal like we're talking about, and we'll try to find another guy to route over to the Thunder that they would want Precious. I don't know how much the Raptors would want Precious, especially for Lowry. It would have to include that first-round pick that they can move, the first available one, plus young player, plus expiring salary cap relief. Any deal starts with that. I imagine Duncan will be there. And for those of you who say, why would they want to pay Duncan $18 million a year? Well, I mean, they're paying Pascal Siakam. They just paid Fred VanVleet. That's a team that wants to win. And if they think that Kyle Lowry is going to leave, they may want to get something, sign a guy long-term like Duncan Robinson, who will be an asset, and he's a very good player. And their offense has struggled. Let's be frank. Their offense has not looked very good, even with all these good offensive players. So the extra floor spacer is good. Who knows what's going to happen with Norm Powell and their situation there. And we don't know the Boucher. Like, how, is this for real? Is this not? So I think having a bird in hand for them and Duncan Robinson is attractive. I think it's more attractive for them than a guy like Precious. Obviously, Hero would be the main guy, but I don't really see Miami parting with Hero for almost a 30-something year old point guard.
I don't see them parting with Duncan for Lowry.
I don't either. That's why I don't think there's a deal here.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about hypotheticals, like, are you going to pay Duncan or not? And I'm so sick of that conversation, that whole conversation. We do not know how much money Duncan is going to command.
It's a hypothetical complaint.
We can go off of precedent. We can go off of whatever. And, like, I do think in all likelihood, like, if you're going to put money on it, like, yeah, he's going to command a lot of money. But we don't know yet. And, like, it's just – he likely will. But, again, it's hypothetical, right? Like, I don't think he'll take a team-friendly deal, but, like, that is within the realm of possibility to the point where it is, like, a totally, like, useless conversation. That's just – Duncan is really good right now. What he does for this team is so important. And if you are talking about, like, going in all in on this year, which I think you have to, you'd have to give me a lot to part with Duncan, who is literally like the engine that drives the Heat's offense. And like, I think over the past 10 games before the next game, he was shooting like the low 30s, like 33% from 3. And that's his slump. That's like a Duncan Robinson slump, is 33% from 3 for 10 games. And then then he goes 4 for 10. And like, after over a
4
year.
4 for 7. He'll go for like a 4 for 7. Efficient.
After a year of being like one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen in my life.
He's still one of the best shooters in the league. He's shooting almost 10 attempts a game, and he's shooting 40% on them. That's a basketball wet dream.
And that's with every defense keying in on him and him slumping. Like, this is cold Duncan right now.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. And I think people forget that because they get afraid of the price tag. And there is no price tag right now. It doesn't exist. It is hypothetical. And even if it's likely, it's just, I don't think it's worth thinking about. I think it's worth, like, on some level, the Heat are thinking about it. like in trade negotiations, they have to think about it. But I do think, especially in a Jimmy-led Heat team, you're thinking more year to year than you are long term right now. And I don't know if Kyle helps this team more than Duncan does. Is that fair to say?
That's ridiculous. Because Kyle's Duncan, right? Like, you have to look at the return that you're getting as well. Like, Kyle's not only a good shooter, Kyle's not as good a shooter as Duncan, but he does command a lot of the space that Duncan gives you, and while doesn't shoot as good a percentage and doesn't have the gravity that Duncan has, he gives you some sort of facsimile of that while being a dog on defense. And he will help their offense, because not only do they have another really good shooter to fly off of handoffs, now they have a legitimate threat going north-south in addition to Jimmy.
Yeah, I suppose you're right about that. I mean, it's just a tough trade-off to make. I just don't think a deal happens. I would not give up Duncan for Lowry. And I don't think the Heat would either. And
Tiffany makes a good point in chat. She's like, Kyle can box out though. And while that is a funny joke, it is also true that he's going to help their rebounding a little bit, because their guards are typically kind of not, like, Duncan's not a rebounder, right? Like, and Kyle's aggressive and he boxes out and he is physical down there. Something I think is interesting, guys. So let's say they do this. Let's say Pat gets on the phone and Masai Strongarm's like, I want Duncan, a pick, and then some expiring salary. And then Riley says, fuck it, fine, let's do it. At that point, you have Dragic, you have Tyler, and you have Lowry. Now you have these three guards. And chat's asking, like, well, if Kyle's here, what does that mean for Goran? Now, I don't think they'll trade Goran, and I don't think they'll get a lot back for Goran. But if you trade for Lowry with Duncan, do you then try to flip Tyler and see if you can get a guy positionally to help you?
That's so tough, though, because...
But that's not above Pat Riley. We've seen this do it with a team that was a broken rib away from the finals with a legitimate superstar in Dwayne Wade. And he flipped the entire team over.
I'd have to know more about how the league values Tyler Hero. I don't know if that many people are going to be clamoring for him. I know he has value.
No, like,
he's a good player. He's going to get a haul. But I don't know if it's
but I'm saying, like, you flip him for X All-Star power forward or X, like,
who?
Near All-Star power forward.
Give me a name, and I like,
or guard.
Harry B. I'm kidding.
I will fight back.
That was a joke.
No, but I mean, I would have to have a name in front of me to, like, think about it. I would be open to the idea. My other question about trading for Lowry, let's say you do it, you have to resign him, right? Like, and then you have a really old team going into. You also have to worry about, because this might not be the year for the Heat to win it all. I think we have to admit that maybe, like, there are some circumstances that are hurting them, and that, like, you can patch things up. And I do think they can be built to make a deep run. But, like, shortness of the off season, I do think, like, the whole COVID thing, I worry about how that's going to affect Jimmy in the long run. Like, we don't know how players recover from that fully. Goran is kind of weird right now. There are a lot of, like, things up in the air that, like, even if you make this kind of trade and you go all in, I don't know, especially, like, once you get to the Lakers, like, what happens there. Then, this is all we're deep into hypothetical zone. Like, you get to the offseason, Kyle Lowry's contract expires, you re-sign him because you have to, and then what does your team look like next year? Like, really old.
But you're gonna have two really good players, and then bam, right? So you're gonna have a three, all-star type, core with whatever you surround them with. So that's not a bad way to start. And I get what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree with you. And I think that if you're going to empty out the asset cupboard, you should maybe aim a little higher. But I've said this in the past. I think Kyle Lowry is the best point guard in the East. I don't think Kemba Walker's as good as he is. And I don't think Kyrie Irving's as good as he is. And
Trae Young.
Get Trae Young out of here. What has Trae Young ever done?
Best point guard in the East is Tyler Hero. My question about, like, trading Tyler Hero for somebody who's a positional fit, why don't they just do that now? If they're going to do that anyway, like, why wait for Kyle Lowry? They could just do that now if they're going to do it, because
it's
Tyler Hero is not the position or fit that they need right now. Like,
but he's available. he's available.
I would want to know who you can get back though, because like if you can trade him for an All-Star 4 right now, like maybe do that and don't trade for Kyle Lowry, and then like
or both.
But like if you can keep Duncan and then trade Tyler for like an All-Star 4, which again I don't know if that's true. I
gotta be totally honest with you. There's like, you look at the kind of really good power forwards that you would be willing to part with your really young, promising rookie. It's just shit that teams wouldn't trade. Like, you know, the Magic aren't trading Jonathan Isaac, right? Because it's a young player for young player. They're just going to keep their young player.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon, do we really want Aaron Gordon? Like, probably not, and I don't think it's worth trading Tyler for that. Tobias Harris, do we really want Tobias Harris in that contract for Tyler? No. You know, Kevin Love, pretty washed. John Collins, kind of in the same boat, right? It's like, are we going to trade our young player? Actually, the Hawks might do that.
I don't think so.
John Collins worries me because
they don't want him over there.
Because he just, I really liked him pre-draft. I thought he was really cool. Like, I'm still a fan of his, but like he does feel like an empty calories guy, in a lot of ways. Like,
and they don't want him over there.
Yeah,
like when the team that you're there doesn't want you.
That's the thing is like Miami likes Hero because he's really good. And I can't imagine like I don't know if he commands such value that like you part with him unless there's some sort of like dispute, right? Unless Tyler like and the Heat like disagree on the like.
Well, at this point,
if Tyler said you benched me, I want to be a starter, fuck you, like then totally.
Which by the way is the opposite of what he said.
Yeah,
he actually has some comments that and real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but I did think that was cool that he did say that when this is the organization that asked Udonis Haslem to come off the bench for Michael Beasley and did so very professionally and in stride. It then asked Dwayne Wade to come off the bench, their franchise superstar guy. Ray Allen came here to come off the bench, right? Goran Dragic followed Dwayne Wade's suit and came off the bench. And then when, you know, you can kind of see the cause and effect. Udonis comes off the bench and next is Dwayne, and then Dwayne to Goran, and then Goran to Tyler, right? Like there's
and Hassan. No. I love that like the idea of that conversation that like even that the idea that it like the Heat tell you need to come off the bench and they go like you can't do this to me, and it's like fuck you, we did it to Dwayne Wade. Like,
and Dwayne did it like in stride. And Goran, we had these conversations. Goran is an ultimate professional. If you've ever been in the locker room with Goran, you know how hard this guy works. B, like what a professional that guy is. And he went to the bench and he said, I want to be sixth man of the year. Like this is what I want to do. Like so when you turn to your second year player who hasn't like been great and you're not winning, and you're like, hey Tyler, we're gonna need you to come off the bench because we think we're gonna win this way. Of course he's gonna say, yes, coach. How can I be better, coach?
And when Goran got benched, he wasn't even playing worse, really. Like he was the same player. Like he was like it was
Low-key
just
his
totally
best season in a Heat uniform.
Yeah.
I know he made an All-Star team, but he was awesome.
He was really good. He should have won Sixth Man of the Year, I think. He should have at least been a finalist. The fucking Clippers thing. I'm still mad about that they gave
that's
two.
such bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I love this Smith and Smolik trade. Let's say they do the Kyle thing. Let's say they send Duncan. They ship Duncan over for Kyle with all that stuff. Then would you do flip Tyler for Vucevic?
That's tough.
Oh man, I think I'm in.
Magic do that?
Okay. Kyle Lowry.
Who's your two?
Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, Vucevic, Bam.
What's your bench look like?
Listen.
Listen.
Buyout Bjelica, a buyout guy. Maybe they can finesse to keep Andre.
I would love to see that team go up against the Nets because it's like you got Vooch and Bam against a team that does not have an NBA.
Yeah, chat's Rondé. We bring Rondé in. Let's fucking go. Rondé, small ball 5. Mario Chalmers.
My thing with the whole hero, like
Nuts.
any potential hero trade,
Casey
you
Apollo.
have to think about how much the franchise clearly loves him and how much Jimmy loves him,
Did you
right?
trade for Josh?
Like,
God, I wish.
I think with the right move, obviously Jimmy would be like, "Fuck Tyler Hero, we got to win now." Kind of like Dwayne Wade, like was cool with trading no, they didn't trade just.
No,
but like
Dwayne
I
would
think
not have been cool with that. Dwayne would have risen hell.
Nah, Dwayne would have been cool.
No,
with it.
Dwayne would have been cool with it though.
Dwayne was cool with Karan.
Yeah. But I like the right move. But I do think like that just means you have to get that much more of a return for Tyler Hero than you normally would have, because there are several people who will be very disappointed to see him go.
So if I'm the Heat
with Goran, right? Like
in that situation, if in this hypothetical that we're talking about, I try to see what I can do to get Norman Powell from the Raptors. Just as a guy, no, we're talking about the fucking bench. At least that guy is like a proven rotation player on a really good playoff team.
You're right,
but
team. Like I don't want to think about watching.
I know, but I mean, like in this scenario, that's a guy that you look at to kind of help your bench.
Norman Powell or KZ Akbala.
No, you're right. Like it's the obvious, but like Norman Powell would be
player
like
of the month. Norman
a really
Powell.
good. I'm just imagining him being on the team and me getting really mad because he's the type of
he'll piss you off so much
because there's really good Norman Powell and then there's really bad Norman Powell, and it's like one of those things where
it's like Kendrick Nunn without
that would drive Heat fans crazy, both in good ways and bad ways. Like I think what he would get on the Heat. And he would have a really hot start, right? Like I think he would like start off really hot, and then everybody would be like, "We turned Norman Powell into a superstar," and then he would, fall back down to earth and do stupid shit like Norman.
The Gerald Green experience.
He'll start shooting 30% from three.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing with Tyler, I don't trade him for somebody who is north of 28, basically. Like if you're
Tyler,
if you're gonna trade him, like you need somebody who's gonna be like in their prime. Like Vuce is already 30, and I don't think he turns you into a contender. Like long term, that lineup you just noted with Kyle Goran, like Goran's getting picked on like a motherfucker if he's got.
Goran and Vuce are getting put in pick and roll every time down the floor.
I would love to see Vuce and Bam together because that's ideal. Vuce is shooting 42% from three.
Vooch is amazing,
and he's gonna.
And by the way, all that little cute switching shit. If you play lineups with Vooch at the 5, and like teams try to get cute and switch their handoffs, you can't do that anymore because Vooch is not Bam. Vooch will take your ass in the fucking meat grinder down there in the torture chamber.
Yeah, man, but we need like I'm looking at I was just wanted to go back to Duncan for a second. Like, fans really talk about his shooting slump. Duncan is 5th in attempts in the league, and out of the top 10, he's 3rd in shooting.
Who?
Duncan is 5th in attempts in the league, and out of just the top 10 guys in attempts, he's 3rd in shooting. And
he's amazing.
That's
he gets held to an impossibly large standard because he's getting measured against a hypothetical contract.
Do you know how hard it is when everyone knows that you're going to shoot the fucking ball and you're still great at it?
And you're still getting open.
Every time! And when he's not, somebody else is open.
Yeah, it opens things up. Like the problem with it, you don't want Duncan to be the 3rd best player on your team, and
you don't.
But you want him you want him to be on your team because he's going to turn a good offense to a great one. He's going to grease the wheels for everybody else, and everybody's going to be able to flow. And
he's a final piece.
Exactly. He's going to complement everyone so nicely. There's not one team in the league who's going to be like, I don't want Duncan Robinson. I will not take the 6'8" elite shooting wingman that you're going to have to pay attention to. The problem with it is when you base your offense outside in, when you have Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, you need those guys to be aggressive so Duncan can loosen the wheels. Because if you start with I'm going to run 15 handoffs for Duncan and he goes 4 of 12, then they're not. Duncan's confidence is a little shot, and you're wasting possessions because you're not trying to get inside. So he's valuable, but with Tyler, I need somebody who's younger. I need somebody who's gonna play with Bam going into the future. I'm not as crazy high on Tyler like these people who think he's gonna be the next Bradley Beal or Devin Booker. I think he's gonna be a very good player, a very good scorer. And if he's in a role where he gets to complement and he gets to just focus on scoring and some playmaking, very good. I don't know if he's ever going to defend well enough to be a starter, a consistent starter. So I'm okay with moving him. That's why.
Tiff is a chat hating on Duncan. He's a final piece when your deck is stacked.
Our deck
I think they're close
last year, though.
I think that gives them value in like even if they sign him to a big contract. I think he's super tradable, even if you overpay him.
Yeah.
because the shooting, I don't think the shooting's going away. And I do think he is improving at other things. Like, as far as somebody that good at shooting goes, I don't think he's as one-dimensional of a player as, like, I don't know. He's not Steve Novak or something, right? Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like
No,
he's
absolutely
Steve
not.
Novak with a better jumper. He,
He's not Kyle Korver.
he does some things that, like, he can kind of take you off the dribble. Like, not really, but, like, in a way that makes him not a total, like, stand
He's
in
a
the
very
corner.
good cutter.
He's gonna
Yeah.
leverage his shooting ability.
He's a very good cutter. He's a very good screener. I think he's gotten really good at that little slip pass when he gets doubled. But part of that's on Bam to move. I think that little step through jumper, that little mid range step through jumper has gotten really good. I think he's a smart player. I think he's a good decision maker. His lob throwing can be a little better. That shit looks bad.
Yeah, but that's also he's never done it before.
Yeah,
I don't like Tyler
good.
Hero's lobs. I want to say that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, they always seem too fast for me. Like, he kind of fastballs them.
that's a young player.
It is a young player thing.
Get
It's
it.
just like, I think he gets credit for it because Bam is really, really athletic and good. But, like, some of those, like, I think there was one lob I'm thinking of particularly, like, last game, and they were like, "Oh man, what a good lob by Tyler Hero." I was like, no, it was like Bam is just good. He just caught it. And I'm
in the air.
after watching Dwayne Wade for so long, I'm like such a lob snob. I like
Lobs.
I'm a lob snob because
I'm with you.
it's all like I know perfect placement when I see it, and like
We
he
saw
does
D-Wade
not-
and LeBron.
Yeah,
We football throw it to each other from one side of the court to the other.
Dwayne Wade could throw a cross court lob to Kelly Olynyk. That's talent. Throwing a lob to Bam from the free throw line, that's not talent. Anybody could do that. I could do that.
Old ass Dwayne Wade in his last game threw a half court alley oop to Duncan Robinson.
Exactly, right?
That's
like,
true. I forgot about that.
I don't believe Tyler Hero could throw a lob to Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. Wade, his passing is so underrated all the time. Anywhere he had every pass in the
He
book.
was almost as good as LeBron as a passer, and I don't think that was ever talked about.
It was insane how he slipped the pick
Wade
and
is the
roll.
best passer LeBron's ever played with.
Easily.
Not even a question.
I don't think is there a close second?
No.
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 I don't think so.
No.
Rondo's
Who's
probably,
it?
like,
Kyrie's?
the best you can-
What?
Probably
No.
Love is the second.
Yeah.
Might be
Rondo,
Chris.
Rondo probably.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I guess he
Rondo.
played with
Yeah,
Rondo.
Rondo.
But Rondo, Dwayne Wade, way better passer.
Rondo, yeah.
Rondo.
Dwayne's a
Yeah,
better
I don't want
passer
to hear
than
that
Rondo.
argument. Rondo's an overrated passer.
Rondo's overrated, period.
Rondo's an overrated passer because he couldn't do anything else. So they
Is
were
Rondo
like,
a Hall
"Oh
of
man,
Famer to
he's so
you?
good at."
I've had this conversation with people. I don't think Rondo's a Hall of Famer.
No.
Is he's still with the Lakers?
Yeah, he
No,
has
he's-
two.
he's-
He has
he's in
two
Atlanta.
titles, a bunch of All Stars. I think he has an All NBA third team.
If he keeps doing what he did last,
He sucks. He's in
Finals?
Atlanta right now, by the way.
no, he's in Atlanta.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was with the
Wearing number
Lakers.
7.
No, he left.
Okay, well then definitely not.
He got paid.
I thought
Oh, 'cause
if he kept doing what he did last year with the Lakers, then like there's an argument. But
Two-time champ, four-time All-Star, All NBA third team, two defensive first teams, two defensive second teams, three-time assist leader.
how was he in college? Who did he play for in college?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Oh wait, no, that's where he was born.
No, he played in Kentucky.
And he went to Kentucky.
He went to Kentucky. But did they win anything?
No.
Probably. Does
No, I don't
Kentucky?
think
I
so.
don't know.
No, I don't think
This was
so.
before Calipari.
Because that is the Basketball Hall of Fame, so they like count that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think he's a no. I think he's like a fringe. But like
He's only a
I didn't-
four-time All-Star. I did not know that.
Bosch, I think is a like shoe-in for for.
Yeah, he's
Hall of
gonna
Fame.
make
He's
it
definitely
next
an
year for
Hall of Famer because he has like seven All-Star appearances and 2
Is
rings.
it only 7?
He has
I
at
think-
least 7. I think the bar is like. I
Bosch
think
is
the
like 10.
stat that like Bomani posted a long time ago when he was arguing about
11.
this was like
11-time All-Star in your fucking
no,
face.
but like the thing I'm arguing, like the stat is something like, this is a stat I heard like years ago. It's like, the people who have both won a ring and made 7 All-Star teams and not made a Hall of Fame, like is I think either short or non-existent. Like I think if you have 7 All-Star appearances and you've won a ring, like you're shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. It's a pretty
so what,
low bar.
what about Kyle? Kyle's at 6
Kyle
All-Star
is a Hall of
appearances.
Famer for sure. I think.
so.
I think so, but people would argue.
Hold on. on Basketball Reference, it has the player similarity score. You want to guess who Rondo's most comparable to?
Justice Winslow?
No.
Damn it.
Avery
Andre?
Johnson.
Avery Johnson. Oh, yeah, that's like throwback.
Derrick Rose is only a 3-time All-Star
Fuck
and only
Derrick
a one. He only made one All-NBA team.
He died during the Big Heat.
He was like 25 when he stopped being good at basketball. Like, it's not.
And
I
we'll
mean,
see
but
him
damn,
tomorrow
3
night.
times. He's not a Hall of Famer, right?
No, absolutely.
D Rose, no. That was
I
it.
think
He
he's
didn't
gonna
even
be
deserve.
the first MVP. That's.
I don't think he
you know.
deserves.
Ooh, chat. This is a good one. Is Andre Iguodala a Hall of Famer?
I think
I would say.
I
no.
think so.
I
I
You
think.
think so?
I.
The Olympic stuff could help him because he is a gold medalist.
I mean, I'm
He's
biased.
got a
I think-
Finals MVP. He's
Yeah,
got all
you get
those-
the
Three-time
Finals MVP.
champ, Finals MVP,
I think he's it.
1-time All-Star. Ooh, that's gonna hurt him. 1 All Defensive First Team and 1 All Defensive Second Team.
I gotta say bullshit that he has that few all defensive
Yeah,
teams.
100%.
But
Oh, totally.
Yo, the
I
all
mean,
Also
defensive
boosted
team
on
sucks.
Dwayne. How many does Dwayne have? It's like
Yeah.
it's offensive.
the Iggy thing, Iggy's one of my favorite players. Like when he played
He
for the
hates being called
Sixers,
Iggy. Can we, as a
Okay.
a show,
Andre
stop calling him
Andre
Iggy? He hates
Iguodala.
it.
When he was playing for the Sixers, I was like, he was probably one of my like non-Heat favorite players. And then his Nuggets career was really he did like that Nuggets team like turned around when he joined. He was really fucking good. And then like how many Finals MVPs are not in the Hall of Fame? That'd be something I'd like to see.
How many MVPs are not? Because I wouldn't.
How
put
many
Derrick in the Hall of Fame.
MVPs? I think
I wouldn't put Derrick Rose.
I
Rose
think
is
every
gonna be the first
MVP
one.
is in the Hall of
I-
Fame.
I don't think Derrick Rose should get there. He might get there because people have a nostalgia boner for him,
Yeah.
but I don't think he should.
I don't
he
even
should be.
think he should have won MVP.
I don't think so either. I think LeBron deserved it that year.
Yeah.
Westbrook also had. I think Westbrook had like an identical statistical season to him.
You know,
People really like overrate him in retrospect. He was really impressive, but like, was
He was
he more
flashy.
impressive than Westbrook?
I always refer to this. Their offense was awful, and the team was always better, like statistically, when he was off the floor. They were winning minutes when he was off the floor because the defenses on those teams were so good. They were so aggressive, and he was a good. Obviously, he's a special offensive player.
But
He's a special
but
offensive
the
player.
Bulls took the Heat to 5 both ways, right? Like that, like a non-Rose Bulls team. Like what was it, like 2012? Didn't
No,
they
they-
take him to 5
No, Rose played.
in 2012?
The no Rose, the
No, I
the
don't think
year
they
that
played in
Rose did
2012.
not play.
I don't think he played in 2012.
no,
he
they didn't play against the Bulls in 2012.
Yeah, they
Was it
lost in the first
2013
round.
then?
They were the 1 seed. They lost to the Sixers.
Yeah, because
And then the Sixers played the Celtics, and then we played the Celtics.
and that was Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Yes. My favorite part of I haven't seen Uncut Gems. I've only heard about Uncut Gems, and my favorite thing is I was like, I tell my non-sports friends, I was like, that he bopped that Celtic ass the next series, right?
I'm more
Seven.
impressed with. I think Noah. I'm a huge Noah fan, and I think, like,
Different era.
Different era of Marcus.
but like, Rose is great, but like Noah made that Bulls team go. Like, Noah
yeah.
was so underrated. Like as a defender, as
Uncle
an
Lou?
offensive player,
Uncle Lou,
they had a really good team around D Rose. It's
Heat and 5.
Heat and 5, but like they had a really good team, like a really good roster, I think. And Tibbs is a good coach.
They also had like no 3-point shooting. Remember,
Yeah.
it was Corver off the bench. That's it. And it was like Rip Hamilton, the corpse. of
Kirk
Rip-
Heinrich.
Rip Hamilton, Keith Bogans. Like they were.
Keith Bogans, that's a name.
They had to grind you to a halt. Somehow Keith Bogans and Dwayne Wade were in the same draft class, and I always pictured Keith Bogans as like 15 years older than Dwayne Wade.
Is Duncan Robinson better than Kyle Korver?
100%.
Peak Kyle Korver?
Yeah.
I think so.
You take because Duncan is just
A more
and
complete
by the way,
player.
like Kyle was a mover as well. Kyle was great, a great. And this is actually something Nikias is great at putting things into perspective. Next time Nikias comes on, we gotta ask him. Like, I just think Duncan offers you a little more ball skill than Kyle, and Duncan's just a much better shooter on the move. I always talk about this when I talk about Duncan. One of my favorite people doing anything around basketball is Coach David Thorpe. He's for True Hoop right now.
Yeah.
And I sometimes Coach Thorpe appears on podcasts, and Thorpe does a lot of developmental coaching of college players, of NBA players, of young players. He does coaching at every level.
He coached UD.
And one, huh?
He coached UD.
He did. He's done a lot of really cool stuff. He's like one of the smartest people doing anything on basketball. Check out True Hoop; they're amazing. And he came out. He went on a podcast with Dave Dufour, a friend of the show, Dave Dufour. Or it was Lowe. I don't remember. It was either Dave Dufour or Zach Lowe. And he was talking about Duncan, how they coach shooters now after 1 year. After seeing Duncan for a year, Thorpe and other developmental coaches are like, oh, no. We got to teach what Duncan's doing. We're not going to teach what JJ Redick and Kyle Korver did. We are switching because the way that Duncan moves and the way he controls his body, coming off a screen, going up, the body control, all this like stuff about Duncan, the way he runs routes, is what we're going to teach people because he has perfected this art.
I have a question about another Hall of Fame question.
I
Does
love
the
these.
2015 Hawks starting five, are they Hall of Famer? Is that a Hall
Yeah.
of Famer?
Yeah, for sure. For easy.
That's a Hall
Easy.
of Famer.
That's a Hall of Famer for
Former
sure.
player of the month, the Hawks starting five. That
All of them made an all-star team besides Carroll, right?
no, Carroll was non-all-star.
Yeah, he was a sixth
Carroll
man. He was a
wasn't an
sixth man.
all-star, but like he was in that player of the month.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but he was the only one that didn't make the all-star team that year. That was such bullshit.
Kyle Korver, do you remember they were just giving Kyle the ball to shoot? That was funny.
I
That
That was the
All-star
worst
game.
All-Star game ever.
It was. What a
I
terrible
thought that
team.
Hawks team was going to beat the Cavs.
I did too.
They were really good,
It was
and
more
I thought
I've never felt more
Budenholzer was
stupid.
great.
No, the two times I felt the dumbest watching basketball was when I was so sure that Hawks team was going to wax Cleveland, and when I was so sure that the Raptors team that, when Mark Jones said LeBronto, that series where LeBron just stole their soul, I was convinced that the Raptors were going to beat them.
Turned a
Convinced.
0-2 into a 0-3. That shit was the greatest video ever.
That was so good. All right, guys.
Hold on. I want to harp in on these all defensive teams that we were talking about, Rondo and stuff. You know how
Yeah.
bullshit the all defensive team? How come we only have two teams and for offense we have three? You have guys. You know who has more all defensive teams in his career than Sean Marion?
Kobe.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, probably.
But Hassan Whiteside has made more all defensive teams than Sean Marion. Sean Marion didn't
No
make a
way!
single all defensive team.
Hassan made an all defensive team? I don't remember that.
15,
Yeah, he made-
16.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was it's such
Kobe
bull-
Bryant has more all defensive teams than Tony Allen.
on reputation, part of that. More so than deserved, especially.
Oh
the
no,
end of
Tony
the
has
career.
3 first, 3 first, and 3 second. What does Kobe have? I think Kobe
has like
might have
14.
that. Kobe has.
Kobe has a ton.
Yeah, Kobe has way
12.
too many.
He has 12. That
How does
last-
Kobe have 9 first all defensive teams?
Well, some of them
Pure
were
reputation.
deserved, and then it was.
I'm
all
sorry, he
reputation
was
after.
not a better defender than Dwayne by the end. I'm sorry.
Yeah, by the end. I mean,
I don't think Chris Paul was either. By the way,
fuck Chris Paul.
because CP3 took a lot of those from Dwayne too. Wow, Schmid the Smolik hates our Hall of Fame talk. We never get to do this.
His last all defensive.
What do you want to
team
talk
was
about? You want to keep
2011.
talking about Kyle Lowry?
I mean, I do.